Hello everybody, this is Abraham with North Shore Computer Services. What we got here today is a Lenovo Yoga computer with a bad keyboard. Now, normally on this computer you would replace the whole top section, but there are keyboards available that can be purchased separately, and they're not expensive. So the top section would cost about $75 to $100 depending on where you got it, how new it is, and all that good stuff. But the keyboard is about 20 bucks. The problem is that the keyboard on the Lenovo Yoga is basically part of the case. They didn't use the screws, they used the plastic standoffs, and I have been thinking for quite some time on how to get that removed, because by removing the plastic rivets, so to speak, you damage them beyond repair, and you can only glue it back in, so in other words, it's a bad proposition. So after some thinking, I came up with this solution, where we're gonna use the hot air gun to basically just pre-melt those plastic rivets and lift the keyboard out of the case. So I've started doing that just to make sure that it works, and see, I'm not bending metal, I'm not damaging anything, and once I'm done I will be able to reattach the metal pieces. The way you reattach them is you just use a soldering iron and melt those rivets back in. So if this computer gets another spill or another problem, that will be a lot tougher to repair, and in that case we'll have to probably replace the top section. But the first repair should not be a major problem. Let's see, I can't get my can't really get my tweezers under there, and it's not a whole lot that you need to warm it. The plastic is fairly easily melting. I'm running the hot air gun at basically absolute minimum, and that is enough to melt the plastic. There are two layers of these rivets, and the second layer is on the inside. So right now I'm just melting the outside rivets, and then I'm gonna be doing the inside ones. This was first this kind of technology, so now I'm melting the inside ones. I still have one outside. Let me see if I could, yep, there you go, lifted. This technology was pioneered by Apple, but Apple used a million screws to hold this in because they were using the metal case, because these guys are using plastic case. You can only do it with this type of nightmarish scenario. Alright. But the main thing is that plastic is not being damaged. There. Ooh, something came out. Find it later. Yeah, this is truly a nightmare to work on. I wish nothing like this ever existed. Or if something like this exists, don't sell keyboards separately, because people like me think that it can be done, and it can be. It's just you have to measure how much time you're willing to spend on this type of job. If you're doing it for yourself, absolutely worth it, especially if you know what to do. And the computer is not cheap by any means. There. Okay. Metal piece off. No real damage. I will have to adjust some of these standoffs, but the standoffs are intact. I get these, let's see, the tops, melted tops with the hole inside, and yeah, that's okay. Now we're gonna have to peel the keyboard. Keyboard has some of the rivets that are holding the keyboard in place, and some that held keyboard and the top metal piece in place. So one of the other solutions to this problem, the rivets can be broken off, and instead of reusing the old rivets, holes can be drilled, and you can put the screws from the Apple computer. That would potentially solve. If that's the route to take, I would use the Apple screws and put them in with a soldering iron to melt into the plastic. There is one issue with that. It could go through the plastic and cause some issues there. Issues in as far as the how the computer will look. What I'm talking about is the screws could go through this plastic and stick out here. So, but all that can be tested before implement. All right, this is moving along, not as fast as I was hoping, but at least the standoffs, rivets, or whatever you call them, can be reused. So this nightmare is almost over. And here we go.